If during this podcast you hear any, you hear any popping noises, it's because we're hiding out in the bunker while the Yeerks celebrate their victory over the Earth. So we're sorry about that. This is Animorph Book Club. We're going to talk about the Animorphs books. Whoa, that was a drop of water that went down the top of my face. We're going to read the Animorphs book. We're going to talk about the Animorph book. We're going to read the Animorph book again. I'm gonna do it again. I'm a war prince. I already read the Animorph, but now I'm reading the Animorph once again. These are my friends. Their names are...
I'm Batter.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Stir.
And they have not read the Animorph yet, but I have, and I am Be Natural, and I've read the Animorph. I am reading the Animorph again, and my friends, whose names are...
Batter.
Mustard.
Stir.
Those three are reading the Animorph for the first time. Sorry about the popping noises. But, the show must go on. We decided we had to record this for the good of we had to get the message out about this book, which is called Megamorphs 1, The Andalite's Gift. Megamorphs books are just Animorphs books that are part of the main series, but they are longer than most of the books. They're like, this book is about 99 pages, and the other books we've been reading so far are about 70 pages, so this book is like a bit longer. It took us all a bit longer to read it. Boy, did it feel longer. We'll get to that later.
So this book, it does take place in between books 7 and 8.
Yes.
It's canon.
It's just called Megamorphs number 1.
It's called The Andalite's Gift.
Yeah. Another thing about the Megamorphs books is it switches who the narrator is each chapter.
Instead of each book.
Yeah, instead of the Megamorphs book being narrated by one Animorph as usual, they switch the narrators every chapter.
This is a clever ploy by K.A. Applegate to just screw over Tobias even more than she already has.
Yeah, Tobias has 3 chapters in this book, and 2 of them are less than a page long.
For context, there's 44 chapters in this book.
Yeah, and Rachel has 13 of them. Rachel has I wrote down. Stir, you wrote down 2. I don't remember. I don't think I kept track of where I wrote it down.
Rachel has 13, Marco has 9, Jake and Cassie have 7, Axe has 5, and Tobias has 3.
So Rachel is way ahead of Marco, and together Rachel and Marco take up 20 chapters, which is almost half this book.
I'm hoping that the future Megamorphs books don't have the same biases toward the same characters, just like how each book is written by a different person. I'm hoping each Megamorphs book focuses more on different people.
Batter's gonna hate me for this, but I kind of wish this book didn't have any Tobias chapters, because all of the Tobias chapters were terrible.
Well, that's Applegate's fault, not Tobias's.
It is Applegate's fault, but I think that if you want to write a book where you have more than one Animorph as the narrator, you don't need to have all of them. She just felt like she had to cram all of them in here.
She did.
So
I can argue with that.
So I think she should have, if she couldn't write a good role for Tobias, it's okay if Tobias isn't a narrator in this one. It would have been kind of cool to have just maybe Rachel and Marco narrating this. You don't have to have, she feels like she has to have every one of them, because that's probably how this book was pitched to the editor, however this works.
Oh, this was also the first book where Axe was a narrator.
Yes, it was.
So that seemed cool.
Yeah.
It was. Okay, summary.
Okay, summary. So I'm not doing it chapter by chapter this time, but it's still going to be super long, so...
This book is long.
Alright. Rachel...
so long.
Rachel says she's going to gymnastics camp, but she actually morphs into an eagle and goes into the forest to see Tobias. She sees Axe in the woods and tries to say hello, but flies too close to a bird nest. The birds swarm her and she loses control and crashes into a tree, hitting her head and passing out. Marco convinces Axe to come with him to a party, morphed as mice, in exchange for some medicine that will help Axe get rid of fleas. Jake and Cassie are also at the party and work to save Marco and Axe from being killed by the other humans. While Marco and Axe demorph in the basement of their house, a strange dust monster comes to the house and starts tearing it apart. However, it disperses once Marco and Axe are in their human forms. Rachel wakes up in the woods with no memory of who she is or how she got there. Freaked out, she somehow demorphs back into a human, but the dust monster immediately starts chasing her. She runs out into the freeway where the monster destroys a semi carrying ice cream. Once again, the monster stops chasing her once she's completely human. The next day, Jake, Marco, Axe, and Cassie are watching TV. The news people seem to be covering up the monster by claiming it was a tornado. They spot Rachel in the background of that shot with the ice cream truck and are confused. Cassie calls Rachel's house, but Rachel's family are still convinced that Rachel is at camp. They decide to search for her. Wandering through the woods, Rachel comes across a small shack where a mentally disturbed woman is hoarding clothing. Rachel tries to get some shoes from her, but the woman becomes convinced that Rachel is a Yeerk and locks her in the basement. Meanwhile, Jake and Marco take the bus to the ice cream truck accident in order to look for Rachel. They meet with Tobias and morph into wolves so that they can track Rachel's scent. The dust monster immediately starts chasing them. The shack catches fire, but Rachel somehow figures out how to turn into a bear and breaks out. The dust monster leaves Jake and Marco and starts attacking her instead. Axe comes out of the woods and finds her, but Rachel does not recognize him. Rachel tries to attack the dust monster, but it chops off her front paws. Axe begins to morph into a harrier, and the creature's attention is directed toward him. He realizes that morphing is what attracts the monster, and morphs back into an Andalite in time for the creature to engulf him and carry him upward. Jake, Tobias, and Marco come by and figure out what happened. Tobias goes off to continue searching for Rachel, but Jake and Marco decide to go home before they run out of time to morph. Cassie goes to the mall to look for Rachel there. She sees Chapman and decides to morph into a fly to spy on him. Axe is taken to the Yeerk Blade ship, where he is imprisoned by Visser 3. Visser 3 tells Axe about the Valik, a creature made up of millions of particles that come from Saturn. Visser 3 explains how he has trained them to capture creatures that can morph by sensing their morphing energy and take them back to the ship in exchange for energy from the ship's engines. Meanwhile, Cassie finds out about the Valik from Chapman and his friends. Rachel stumbles into a stream and changes back into a human. Flashes of her past memories come to her, but she can't figure out what they mean. She remembers that Axe called her Rachel and realizes that must be her name. She decides to try and follow the stream to civilization. Jake, Marco, Cassie, and Tobias meet up on Cassie's barn to discuss their findings. They compare notes and decide to attack the Valik. Rachel finds an empty house and breaks inside. She eats cookies and falls asleep and dreams about her past morphs. The police come and try to get her to come out, but she's not sure if she can trust them, so she morphs into an elephant. Jake, Marco, and Cassie decide to switch morphs so that they can keep the Valik distracted while trying to find Rachel. They steal Cassie's dad's truck and try to drive it into the city. Rachel breaks out of the house as the police try to shoot her. The dust monster shows up as well and begins chasing her. It catches her, but she is too heavy to lift. The pickup truck, driven terribly by Marco, shows up at that moment. Jake baits the monster away from Rachel by morphing into a tiger. Cassie gets out of the car and goes to Rachel. The Valik chases Marco and Jake to the highway. They run into a tree but aren't hurt. Jake leads the monster away. Cassie explains to Rachel that she is her best friend and an Animorph, and Rachel decides to trust her. Cassie rides Rachel away. Meanwhile, on the Blade ship, Axe feels bad because he didn't kill Visser 3 when he had the chance. Because Visser 3 killed Axe's brother, Alfinger, Axe is dishonored by not taking revenge. The walls of the Draconite... I didn't research that. Hopefully it's Draconite. Box that Axe is in becomes clear, and Axe shows a hologram of the Valik chasing his friends down. However, Visser 3 is upset when he realizes that the Animorphs have found the Valik's weakness, which is that it's only attracted to morphing, so if they keep morphing, they can distract it before it catches any one of them. Down on Earth, Marco begins his gorilla morph to distract the Valik from Jake. He keeps driving the pickup truck in order to give himself more time. Cassie continues to tell Rachel about the Animorphs and then starts morphing a squirrel. Marco circles the pickup truck back to where Cassie and Rachel are, but accidentally crashes into Rachel. Bug fighters come out of the sky and start attacking, as well as the dust monster. Cassie stops morphing so that the dust monster will abduct Marco instead of her. On the ship, Axe watches all of this play out. He realizes he can morph a flea in order to escape. He becomes so tiny that no one can see him through the clear walls of the cage. Someone opens the door in order to find out where he went, but Visser 3 kills them since that was a stupid idea. Axe instinctively jumps out of the cage before he can close the door, however, and climbs onto Visser 3. The Valik takes Marco up to the Blade ship. Visser 3 tries to question him, but Marco refuses to answer or morph out, making Visser 3 suspicious that he might not be an Andalite after all. Axe and Marco begin to communicate via thought speech. Axe tells Marco that when he is given the chance, he should run to the computer and use it to open the hatch. Axe begins to morph out, baiting the Valik to come attack Visser 3. Pandemonium ensues, and Marco is able to reach the computer and give a command. Visser 3 yells for water, and someone sprays him with a hose. The sword of traps the tiny particles, each of them an insect-like creature the size of a flea, so that they fall and can't fly. Axe is also trapped momentarily, but is able to break free. He gets over to Marco, who climbs upward and jumps through the open hatch. Meanwhile, on the ground, Rachel starts to get her memory back from the crash. She and Cassie morph into owls and try to fly away. They nearly run into a Hork-Bajir, but Jake, still a tiger, saves them. Marco and Axe quickly morph out of their forms and morph birds, managing to fly upwards before they hit the ground. Cassie, Rachel, and Jake, however, go home, presuming Marco and Axe either dead or made into controllers. Jake has a bad night, but the next day Marco surprises him at his house. They go to the woods and meet the rest of the Animorphs. Cassie feels bad that she sacrificed Marco to save herself, so she comes up with a plan for defeating the Valik, which involves her being the brave hero. They go to the beach. Tobias flies out over the ocean to find a whale and tells the rest of them where it is. The rest of the Animorphs minus Axe morph into dolphins and swim out to the whale. Cassie morphs back into a human and quiets the whale, while the rest of the dolphins support her so she won't drown. She then morphs into a cockroach, and Tobias carries her high up into the air. Meanwhile, the Valik shows up to capture her, but is distracted by the rest of the Animorphs doing partial morphs down below. Finally, when Tobias can carry her no higher, she morphs back into the human and begins to fall on top of the Valik. As soon as she's fully human, she begins to morph into a whale. However, it's very hard and she's very tired. The Valik begins to encompass her, but she quickly becomes too big for it to carry. Before it can let her go, she drags it back down into the ocean with her enormous size. All of the Valik particles fall into the ocean and drown. The end.
Yeah, good job.
The end.
Man.
It always seems way less detailed after when I'm writing it, but then way too detailed when I'm reading
Jesus, 3 pages.
it. Yeah.
You know what? You did a better job of editing out unnecessary details than Applegate did writing this book. So, I think you
Details are what makes books fun to read.
This book was not fun to read.
I thought it was more fun to read than it was to listen to the summary.
Wow. I was okay.
Did you dislike this book?
No.
It
was a meh. It was a meh. The latter half of the book was very exciting, and I actually loved reading it. The part where once they got like the Valik, once they got like the Valik chasing, once they had the Valik chasing them around, and they were doing all the action, that was great. But like all the way up until that, like the entire book was just like so slow.
Acts had good chapters.
I don't remember Axe's chapter.
Oh, I love
I remember
Axe's
one of
chapters.
Axe's chapters being I wrote down, this is so unnecessary. Let me see. So there's a chapter. Okay, so in this chapter, let's see if I can find it.
I like Marco's chapters. I think I like Marco as a narrator a lot.
Oh, I know. In Marco's first chapter, I wrote down. He's like describing what's going on, and then he goes, "By the way, hi, my name is Marco. I'm an Animorph too.
I think I wrote that down too.
I'm the smart, cute one. No, seriously, Jake is the bossy one, Cassie's the nice one, Rachel is the stupidly brave one, and Tobias is a bird."
And Tobias was a bird. Oh my gosh, it's like my favorite.
One of my notes was literally just LOL Marco is stupid, and then like a page later it's like 2 different people were like, "Oh yeah, Marco's really smart." And I was like, "What?"
He is. Marco's the one who can figure stuff out.
We learned this from Marco's book. He's got to keep up his reputation.
Well, he definitely has social issues then.
Well, yeah, he's stupid. He likes to mess with people. He knows what he's doing.
Well, but I feel like he legitimately believed that these girls who hated him who actually liked him.
That's just a total.
He just wanted to mess with
He's
them.
afflicted.
No. He believes that. That's just like a totally average, like middle school boy kind of logic.
He's afflicted with his disease called a sense of humor.
Oh my god, I love that quote from Axe.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Axe
is the best.
Axe says like Marco's very smart, but he's afflicted with a condition called a sense of humor.
It makes him do strange things. Say strange things.
I like when Marco and Axe were just talking about the girl problems. And Marco was like, "Yeah, the girl likes me, and that's why she didn't invite me to the birthday party." And Axe was like, "Is this common among humans?" And Marco was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Yeah."
And he's
I like watching those two interact because Axe is so formal, but like Marco is just like
Marco and Axe have great chemistry.
Yeah,
it's kind of cute that Axe has fleas.
That was kind of weird.
I was really surprised that became a plot point.
I mean, Tobias has fleas too.
In the previous book, I was like, I didn't know birds could get fleas, and now we're being told that Andalites have fleas.
I didn't know Andalites had like enough fur to get fleas.
Well, Axe lampshades it because he's like, why would this flea like Andalite blood? Oh well.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh well.
Isn't Axe covered with blue fur?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look thick, like...
But short-haired dogs get fleas, don't
Excuse me, this is an alien from another planet with, like, you'd think alien blood, and you're worried that you're thinking that his fur's too short for the fleas?
Yeah.
Like, the fleas don't even attack humans because they're too specific. They're too particular. They don't want humans.
I don't know how fleas work. I've never been a flea.
Humans have fleas?
No, they don't.
That's
They have lice.
No, people can get fleas.
No? I don't think so.
Haven't you seen, like, cartoons where, like, a kid will, like, throw fleas on the bad guys and they'll be like, "Oh, fleas," and they itch.
I'm not going to use cartoon logic.
Well, no, cartoons are based on real life.
No.
All fiction is based on real life.
Alright, so I guess then I just have to blindingly accept that Axe can get fleas. And I will, that's fine.
Humans can get fleas from their dogs and other pets. There are thousands of species of fleas, and most animals have a specific flea species that prefers that animal as its host. While the flea that dogs typically carry can and do jump over to humans and bite us, the dog flea cannot survive on humans.
Oh, okay.
Heavy.
That's what I was thinking of.
Maybe the fleas on Axe can't survive on Andalites, but they don't know that yet.
They haven't figured it out.
Well, they've been surviving on it.
His blood could be, like, poison to them.
I like that Tobias is, like, officially, like, hunting for his own food now.
I thought maybe that was already a few books back, man. You're kind of behind.
I don't know if it's established that's like, always how he eats. I don't know. I
like it when Marco's like, how do your feathers even get dirty? All you do is fly around. He said, well, I hunted and I killed a thing and it was messy. Any questions? And then Marco just shuts up.
Tobias is so metal. Oh, Tobias almost shits on Marco too in this.
I know. I love Tobias threatens to shit on Marco.
No, he didn't. He didn't threaten.
He just offered.
He just offered.
Wait, do you have the quote?
No.
I can find it. I wrote it down. Which is like,
I noticed Tobias like refused to say the word poop in this book because at one point it talks about Marco, like how he threw a baby Ruth bar in a pool and convinced and made everyone think that someone pooped in the pool, and that's why he wasn't invited to this party because he's a little prankster. And Tobias was like, he threw a baby Ruth bar in a pool, so it looked like like Tobias just refused to say poop. But I think Rachel says poop like twice in this book.
Yeah, I figured that was like something that Capelgate did. Like she's like, oh, this is a kid's book, I can't write poop in there. But
well, no, I recall
clearly she can because somebody else says it later.
There was one book. Let me check. I think it was book. It was book 6 said the word poop. I think like 5 times. It wasn't. It was like in 2 completely different contexts where Applegate just decided to put the word poop in there. It just surprised me.
I'm trying to find the Tobias poop quote.
But yeah, so I want to look back and see like if Applegate is consistent.
Poopy.
I want to go back and see if Applegate is consistent with which characters say poop and which ones don't. Like, it seems really important part of the character.
Marco makes a joke about deep fried hawk legs, and Tobias says, "Come stand over here, Marco. Stand under my branch."
Yeah.
That's weird that eating Tobias is a theme in this book as well as the last.
Eating all the characters is a theme. Like
that's true.
Everyone almost gets eaten.
Only Tobias has to be. Only Tobias gets fried though and barbecued.
Oh yeah, that's the second time it's happened.
Wait, are you saying that the Valik eats people? Is that what you mean by that?
No, but like Visser 3 eats people, and they almost got eaten by a taxon.
And they keep turning into shrews and
Visser 3 specifically wants to keep their bodies because they can morph.
Well, he in the wild book he wanted to eat them. In the wild book, he said, "Screw capturing, I want to eat you."
That was the instincts of whatever creature it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how Capelgate writes out sound effects. It's always really silly. Like she'll have like a million capital letters, and one of them like they get attacked by birds. Yeah, at one point they get attacked by a bird and it just says swoop, 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 and that's like supposed to be the sound effects.
Yeah, like it says here, Indy 500 car, zoom.
I thought one thing I wrote down was like, I like how every single time Amnesia Rachel has a flashback, it's accompanied by the words "flash" in all capital letters.
No, as usual, I'd listen to the audiobook instead of actually reading it. Although I did follow along when I wasn't like busy like doing dishes or something. So I didn't notice that "flash" was written in all caps whenever there was a flashback.
Well, you're saying your audiobook people aren't competent enough to scream whenever
he's very good. It's Audio Morphs, a podcast.
And I say if he doesn't scream every time something's in all caps, he's not worth dirt.
My first note isn't until page 45, which is halfway through the book.
Yes.
What was your first note?
Oh, it's the.
Oh, you want me to read my note? Wow.
Oh, it's just a note about what Hork-Bajir looked like, so I can draw them later.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. That's good.
Oh yeah, this book had the best explanation of what some of the aliens looked like, because I think it was the Hork-Bajirs, either the Hork-Bajirs or the Taxons, but I think it was the claw ones. I don't know, but
the claw ones.
I don't know the alien name.
Hork-Bajir.
I'm just gonna say Hork-Bajir, but that's what it was.
The lizard ones or the worm ones?
I don't know.
What?
I don't remember the description. I just remember
the ones where every single time they mention them, they're like, "Oh, they're so peaceful," except the Yeerks are evil, or the one where they're like, "Oh, they voluntarily took."
They eat each other.
Well, in this book they actually go into it a little bit more because X says, "Well, Hork-Bajir are more like foot soldiers, whereas Taxons are used more for like brain work."
Yeah, vote on page 45 has the best physical description of Hork-Bajir so far. And I think it's because Axe is the one giving it. So, and he's like, more familiar with what the anatomy actually is.
Yes.
And he gives a very good, full paragraph description of what hook pajirs look like and what they are. I thought that was cool.
I didn't really pay attention to the description on page 45.
One interesting thing I noticed about the description for the Hork-Bajir is in this book it says that atop their snake-like heads there are 2 blades swept forward, but in a previous book it said there were 3 blades on their head.
Really?
Well,
yep.
The animals are bad at counting and accident.
Well, later it's revealed that females have 2 blades, males have 3, which makes me think
whoa. When is that revealed?
I don't know, some point.
Not in this book.
I think book 13.
Book.
I think book 13. It's not a spoiler.
Well, that's cool that they explained a mistake.
Anyway,
Capplegate always does that.
Yeah.
Capplegate's pretty good at getting herself out of corners.
I wonder if that means their troops are all one gender. Like the troop that got Axe is all female, whereas the troop that the Animorphs described earlier were all male.
Well, maybe just the narrators didn't think to sit and count the number of spikes on every soldier and just looked at one and said, okay, this has 3 spikes. I guess they all do. They're not going to sit and count them.
That makes sense.
Oh, I remember, I don't remember what it was. I think it was last book, we were complaining about how it seems like whoever is writing the book happens to have all the action happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if, Capplegate noticed that, and this book was a response to that complaint.
I feel like this book was just Capplegate going, what if I wrote a book with all the characters as narrators? I'm just going to do that.
So many chapters are just the same as the previous chapter, except
I know.
someone else is seeing
I got
it.
so sick of it. I was so... all of the Tobias chapters were they were just I was watching... Some of them were recaps. They weren't even
The Tobias chapters I didn't mind. I like the Tobias ones.
Look, there's one where... Okay, so there's one... Alright, listen. We got chapter 5, and Mark... that's the one where the Vleek rips the house off of the thing. We got chapter 7...
I did notice this when I was when I was writing the summary, was that literally Tobias just explains what the scene of the leak ripping up the house looks like.
We got chapter 7
from the sky, and then he flies off towards the forest because he sees one thing. He sees that it actually didn't just disperse, that they're actually going somewhere.
We didn't need Tobias to notice that. He could have just said it in one line of dialogue later, and we didn't have to read this entire 1.5 pages of Tobias going oh, did you know that this thing showed up and it looked like this and it tore up the house. It took the house straight off, and Axe and Marco were down there and they were humans, and a thermal is an updraft of warm air. Shut up!
I really appreciate the Tobias chapters. To me, it was okay, so there's what those guys doing. How's Tobias doing? Oh, there's Tobias. Look at him. He's just flying up. He's having fun.
Anything about what he's doing.
Explaining the plot again. Man,
he's I'm just looking at Marco. Tobias didn't do anything. Tobias didn't do anything in this chapter. This chapter might as well have been some random ass eagle flying by.
Yeah, but
it's whoa, what's that thing flying over there? That house just came out of the ground. I'm a random ass eagle. I'm gonna fly off into the woods now. Goodbye. That was fun.
Yeah, but it's Tobias. Tobias is my friend.
We're kind of biased because we love Tobias.
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 You've got quite a bias there, and I'm not happy. And I don't it.
Okay, I actually didn't notice that the first time I read it. I was just okay.
How many times did you read this?
Okay, I said I noticed it when I was writing the summary, and I was skimming through the pages again.
Oh, okay.
That's
I was
noticed it.
I would never. I'm not gonna.
But I did notice it, and I was see. But you're saying the solution to this problem is to just not have Tobias have any chapters at all. Whereas I'm thinking, why don't you just give him more interesting chapters?
If you're gonna write this story, then yes. If the story's gonna be just like this, then yes. Don't give Tobias any chapters. But if you want to write a Tobias chapter, you got to make him do something interesting that's unique from what the other Animorphs are doing, so he's not just watching.
So am I the only one who likes it when Tobias just does Hawk stuff? Because that's Hawk stuff. Hawk stuff is just...
Well, can he at least watch something? can he at least watch something that we haven't already seen through another character's eyes? Like, okay, maybe they can get rid of the Marco chapter, fine, but like, don't have both of them.
I actually like no. I
felt like this entire book, I felt like I was like watching the instant replays on like the freaking baseball games.
Yeah.
I was just like, I would start a chat, would be like, oh man, that was really cool. I wonder what's gonna happen next. And I start the next chapter, and it would be like 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, we're back here. You're like, oh, but I saw it from that angle. I saw some dust.
I don't think this is how you do multiple perspectives. You don't rewind at every chapter.
Yeah, this book was so slow, such a slog.
To be honest,
I liked the last part of it.
actually didn't mind it that much. I'm not going to say that was a good thing. I didn't care.
I think I didn't notice much because I was listening to an audiobook, so it just went by faster. I was playing it at like 1.5 speed.
So
I finally noticed it, but I didn't get too bothered by it.
The full audio recording was like 4.5 hours, and I was at 1.5 speed. So how long that was? Is how long I spent reading.
I got very annoyed with it. Especially there's this part where this really annoying part where I mean, I guess you guys don't find this as annoying as I do, but I find it annoying. So what happens is Axe shows up. Okay, so Rachel's like a bear, and she's fighting the Valik, and then Axe shows up. He gets taken by the Valik, and then we get a chapter from Axe's perspective, where Axe is like, I should have wanted to kill Bizarre 3, and that's new information. I like that. I like the new information about Axe, like, feeling the need to kill Bizarre 3, and how Andalite culture is kind of horrible, because it's like, you're dishonored forever if you don't kill your brother's killer. That's cool. But then then Bizarre 3 does that stupid trope where he walks up to Axe, and he's like, Andalite, this is my plan. I named this animal a Valik, and it's my pet, and I love it. Don't you love it too? It's from Saturn. Ooh. And wow, this is how everything works. This is my entire plan. That was stupid. I mean, yeah. So then in the next chapter, we get Cassie, and she's in the mall, and she hears Chapman explain the exact same things to some random controllers, and she's like, and she's like piecing it together in our heads. We already know all this because Visor 3 just explained it to us.
Yeah, but Cassie didn't know it, so Cassie had to know it.
I don't need that.
We didn't know.
Yeah, but the problem is, then
point.
they would have plot holes because Axe and Cassie Axe can't talk to Cassie, so they can't share information.
No. Just cut out. All right, just have Axe angst for like, I don't know, however long you want about not being able to kill Visor 3. Visor 3, don't explain your entire plan to Axe like an idiot.
No, what I'm saying is that Axe's actions in the future are determined by the fact that Visor 3 explains. Like, he doesn't know how the Valik works until Visor 3 explains it.
How about just have... No, he doesn't even... No, he doesn't really learn anything from this explanation. He just...
Yeah, he does. He knows it's attracted to morphing, but now he has some lore about it. Like, he knows that it came from Saturn.
I'm pretty sure Chapman explains that in the next chapter that it's...
Yeah, but he doesn't explain it to Axe.
Axe doesn't know it.
Axe doesn't need to... They can come up with some way for Axe to find out that's more subtle. I just read the same explanation twice, and I was annoyed. And also... The only useful information Axe learns here is that the Valik, like, doesn't like water, and they just learn that because the Visor, like, screams, "Oh my god, get water!" Like, you know, and he doesn't feed Axe that information, he just says it.
Yeah, but
right, okay, so I'm not saying that it's good that Capelgate wrote it like that. I'm just saying I understand why she wrote it.
Yeah, okay.
I like knowing it's from Saturn, and also I like the part where Axe is like, "Oh, you filthy... Yurks always trying to mess with creatures," and then Visor 3 says, yes, we lowly Yurks know how superior your Andalites are, holier than thou, the meddling moralists of the galaxy, the glorious, self-righteous Andalite princes, saving the galaxy from this despised Yurks. And I was just like, man, poor Axe.
What do you mean, poor Axe? I totally got where Visor 3 is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Axe is just like, man, he's right. We are self-righteous.
Axe is being destroyed, man.
Axe is
getting destroyed with facts and logic.
What do you guys think of the part where... So Rachel has amnesia, and then she wanders into this shed and is attacked by this woman who seems to have gone insane because of the Yurks.
She also owns her own little puddle of Yurks in the basement.
Wait, what?
No, there's no Yurks down there.
What? I thought it was like a slimy Yurk. I thought they're like slugs crawling in the basement.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What? Yeah. So this woman.
What chapter is this?
This woman is very paranoid because she seems to have had a Yukino at one point. Because she's like babbling on about, don't call him ahead and stuff, and she just lives in the woods. And she like...
And she's like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to me or the thing in my head?
Yeah, and then she grabs Rachel and she shoves her in this hole and she like traps her under the trap door and it's a little pool and it's filled with yerks.
Where is this
There's
pool?
no yerks in the pool.
What are you talking about?
Rachel says it's filled with little slug-like things.
Wait a minute,
which I assume are yerks.
which chapter is this? I'm very interested.
Chapter 10, Flash.
That's a flashback.
That's a flash.
Also,
there's a flash before it.
So that's just a flashback?
Yes.
Okay, I assume that when she was locked in the basement, she was... Okay, I didn't see the flash though then, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You idiot.
So she was just shoved in the trap door.
Basement.
I thought she shoved her in the trap door and that's where there's this sludgy grey pool underneath her and this woman like trapped yerks in there.
Man,
You
why
should
did I
pay
think
more
that
attention
too?
when you're listening to the books.
Well, he thought it too.
Yeah, maybe don't listen to it on 1.5 speed.
Oh, no, I read it and I thought that.
Well,
I think it's because the words yuck are right above the word flash in all caps and it kind of blends together.
Okay, sure.
We weren't looking at it though. Okay.
I was.
No, I think I was looking at it for some of it.
All right.
all right.
Okay, yeah, you were.
Well, it does say... All right, fine.
Anyway, what do you guys think of that whole part?
Okay.
That was really weird.
I thought it was fine.
I like how you wrote like that the woman was mentally challenged or something like that.
I felt like there's a better way of describing it other than just like insane or
Yeah, that's
mad,
how-
which is what they say in the book.
Well, I said she appears insane because she is.
Well, I'm not saying she's not insane.
I wrote a woman with
I'm just saying that she did. I think insane is just a very stigmatized word.
Yeah, I'm really not sure how to describe it.
Usually they describe her as crazy in this book.
Doesn't it say... hang on, let me see if it says insane.
I think this book says crazy more than insane.
Insane.
The word insane is... Hang on.
Crazy is said 7 times.
Yes, it does. She does... the book does call her insane.
Insane a lot, okay.
Well, crazy isn't that much better.
Yeah,
Just because people who are definitely
No, I
don't
think
have any
crazy's
problems
worse.
call themselves crazy.
I think crazy is worse.
I think they're both bad.
They're both bad.
I wasn't sure how to pick it up because I was like, I don't want to be offensive, but because you're not. I don't think you're meant to sympathize with her at all.
No, you're not.
Well,
Yeah, that's kind of problematic too.
Actually, you know what? I think you kind of are supposed to because it's clearly the yerks that have driven her to this.
Yeah, and
Like, I don't think she was like this before.
The only problem is she acts as an antagonist.
Yeah, that was the problem.
I mean,
That's yeah.
but the
You can't blame her for her actions, but she's still like doing bad things.
I thought it was just cool that I was like, wow, this is a person who's clearly been like messed up a lot because of the yerks.
Which seems like something that would happen, but I didn't expect it to happen.
And I like that Rachel just like stumbled upon this person just in the middle of
So
nowhere.
she says, so Rachel asks for her name and she says, my name or its name? We are 2, not 1. Yes. If you want to return the item, that's like her verbal ticket. She says, if you wanted to return the item, you need a receipt or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. It made me think maybe the yerk's still in her head and maybe the yerk is insane.
Maybe it's just a very incompetent yerk that's unable to take control of her.
I actually had the impression that she killed the yerk herself.
Yeah, because she was like, oh, you're not going to get me
damage
again.
in the process.
To Rachel.
Yeah.
But she says that we are 2, not 1. Like, we're together.
She's mentally still in that place where she has a yerk inside of her, but she's actually still in control of her own body.
Okay, it's like when people with dementia like call out for people who are dead.
It's that kind of thing, yeah.
Okay. I guess you could interpret it, this situation as that way. I have my own theory towards that, but we'll get to that when we get to that book.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, towards this woman?
Towards this woman, yeah.
Well, don't forget to bring it up then.
This book brings back...
I'll just say she ate a little too much oatmeal.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you don't.
Wasn't there like a hallucinogenic mushroom in like barley?
Now I'm going to see oatmeal later in the book. I'm like, oh, I know that's important. See, that seems like kind of spoiler. Yeah.
Better not eat that.
1, 2, oatmeal. Kirby is a pink guy.
I'm going to go to the bathroom. Have fun singing your oatmeal songs.
Let's just sing 1, 2, oatmeal until he comes back.
No.
Yes.
You better be singing when you come back, all of you.
Kirby inhaled his enemies and they could later. Kirby's so happy that there's something he can't be because there's something because he's such a pink guy.
Yo, Applegate.
I think he's not here. Is what that was.
Applegate Applegate really likes having hands cut off because like there's so much hands being cut off in these books. Like Rachel's hands get cut off.
Oh yeah.
Her
whole arm
cuts off like a million people's hands. And
her whole arm gets cut off, and then she just walks around as this two-legged bear for a while, and then falls into a river.
Oh, one thing I liked about this, so every time one animal shrinks down to morph, every time it describes it like, oh yeah, it kind of feels like falling. Except instead of falling, you just like kind of getting smaller, but it feels like falling because everything above you is getting bigger, and it just feels like you're falling.
It's going down. Everything's going up.
And she describes it like that every single time. But in this book, Marco finally described it slightly differently. He said it's like falling, and it seems like the floor is rushing up to slap you. I mean, that linoleum seemed to be alive the way it swooped up at me. It was like being a skydiver spiraling down to earth. So that was. That's
better. I'm getting really sick of the it's like falling description.
Yeah, but I like Marco describing it as a floor running up to slap you.
Yeah, I like that better a lot.
Yeah.
Like we need more of that.
When does Marco shrink?
I don't know.
I thought the whole amnesia plotline was just wasted a bunch of time that didn't need to be wasted.
I mean, I thought it was an interesting concept.
It's not. It's been done so many times.
Okay,
it's the exact same every time.
It has, but it's an interesting concept with the Animorphs because it's like you could have when Rachel has amnesia, she wakes up and she's half bird, half human, so she has to like. You know what? I'm right. You're right.
I actually really liked the amnesia in this book.
What? It was Cassie, by the way, who said that.
Yeah.
You could have taken it out, and then it would have been like the same thing, but not 99 pages.
Must have been a different Marco quote a lot on.
Well, that's true. It would have been a lot shorter.
Are you guys talking about the amnesia?
I'm not gonna say this wrong. But what I was thinking about when reading this was it would have been really cool if this was the first Animorphs book, and instead of going back and forth between narrators, we just followed Rachel. So we have Rachel start out by waking up half human, half eagle, being like, "What the heck is wrong with me?" And then
awesome.
she just figures it out for the whole book, and that's how you get introduced to the Animorphs.
That would be so awesome.
I don't think I would like that.
No, one of my favorite games starts off with amnesia flashback.
Oh yeah, that's a sequel though.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
That would be
and then
so...
she gets flashbacks, and then Cassie shows up and is like, "I'm your best friend," and we're like a sheep.
That's why I called flashback.
That seems kind of cliche to me, where it's like, oh, I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Well, I don't know.
She doesn't know.
I don't think I like that, man.
Oh, I think it would have been better than this.
It would have.
Because we already know who Rachel is, so now we're just like...
Wait, are you saying it would have been better than the first 5 books?
Now we gotta wait for her to figure out what she did.
Are you saying you would prefer that the first 6 books don't exist?
No, they'll come back. They're just not the first book.
Okay.
You could have had and before that. I mean, hello, I'm Cassie. This took place before Rachel had amnesia. You could have some books that are just the Animorphs explaining stuff to Rachel, and it's just like,
or
all right,
that
Rachel.
Could just be the Animorphs books. They cover the stuff that happens before.
Yeah, all right, Rachel.
It's all through the eyes of Rachel not knowing her own.
All right, Rachel, sit down and Jake Carroll tell you about the
It's better than Rachel just getting her
invasion.
memory back in the book, and she just she gets hit by a car and falls down, and she gets her memory back. That's so lame.
I think I remember I forgot what I was gonna say.
Good. I didn't want to hear it.
Anyway, I feel like the fact that this is Megamorphs #1, Capelgate assumed that this would be some people's first book, and I think she had that in mind while she was writing it. I think the thing that made me realize that is that the Sand Monster belonged to Visor 3. Because I feel like if this wasn't the first book in a spin-off series, essentially, they would have had the Dust Monster be something more interesting, like the last book with this whatever it's called, this weird god monster, the Elemist. That had nothing to do with Visor 3. It was just some weird creature. And I assumed this would be something else. And as Visor 3 came in, it's like, oh yeah.
Well,
that was kind of a disappointment.
I don't know, where else would this sand monster come from?
Same place the weird Elemist thing came from.
You can't have everything be a god monster.
It's not a god monster.
You can't have everything be Visor 3 either.
Yeah, you can't. Yes, you can.
It's Visor 3 again. And Animorphs were somehow surprised. It's like, well, okay.
No, it's just Visor 3.
Visor 3. It has to be in every single book.
Is that a real wolf outside? No, it's just Visor 3.
What's the raccoon eating my garbage? It's just Visor 3.
Oh no, we have to worry about sharks. Oh, the sharks are just Visor 3.
It's like, why was it being Visor 3 not the first thought? And it's like, wow, I can't believe it's Visor 3. Man, it's terrifying.
Well, in the beginning they said, I bet it's the Earth, and then they're still shocked that Visor 3 has to do with it.
I think
Personally, I did not think it would be connected to Visser 3. I was disappointed when it was.
I didn't think it'd be connected to Visser 3 because I trust Applegate more than that she's not going to just make everything Visser 3.
I think it's true that Visser 3 went to Saturn, picked up a pet, and brought it home, and Reform grabbed it to hunt for him. I think that was a cool concept. That was my favorite part of that.
That is a cool concept.
That is cool. I liked how he named it.
The problem is, there's nothing else that Applegate can do with the Valik after this book. Yeah. Because it's too OP.
Well, it's dead now, so it doesn't matter.
The thing is, if you're going to introduce a really cool concept like that, wouldn't it be cool if this is like with the flame that keeps the series alive and the Valik comes back in a couple other books?
I mean,
but they can't, because the Valik will just show up whenever they're morphed, and they have to morph a lot.
Yeah, they won't be Animorphs, it'll just be Anu.
Okay, wait, but I feel like that's just I can understand Applegate for not having that be a part of the book, because can you imagine, like, every single book would just be like how we almost did something and the Valik chases away at the end. Like, it would be the same.
That's what I'm saying. The Valik is kind of too OP.
Yeah, it would be the same climax every time.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, I was gonna do that actually.
Hey, go grab my phone.
So even though the ending where they defeat the Valik kind of sucks,
hang on, you guys have to start talking over again.
It's very necessary.
What? Say whatever you were saying again, because okay.
From where?
I don't know.
Hello, I'm Be Natural. The popping outside is the Yurks celebrating their victory over the Earth. Better time for the summary.
I like it when, I think it's Cassie, as Rachel has amnesia, Cassie says, yeah, this is the plan. And Rachel says, this isn't much of a plan. Are the Animorphs always this hopeless?
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's just, we've said, man, all the plans they have suck. We've brought that up several times. That they have
it's not even that their plans always suck. It's just that they keep failing.
No, they have a lot of bad plans, though.
They do.
I like that this book brought up the Visser 1 thing.
I think the point of it was that their plans always fail.
I was actually just going to bring that up.
This book brought up Visser 1 again and talked about how, I don't remember if it's Visser 3 who says something about Visser 1, but...
I think it's Chapman.
I have the quote. Visser 3 does not trust our communications lately. Visser 1 has supporters among some of our people here. Don't forget, our leader trapped these Andalites once before, and they were freed by Visser 1 to embarrass us. Has that been proven? The man asked. Chapman snorted. If it had been proven, Visser 1 would be screaming in the torture chambers of the Council of 13.
Petty or not petty? Dumb idea or not dumb idea?
It is petty.
It's stupid.
It gave her power. That's all that matters.
She knew she wouldn't get caught for it.
I like that it was brought back so we know it's not just like a one-off stupid thing that Applegate wrote to get them out of it.
Okay, I'm fairly confident that Visser 1 will come back.
Yeah, she didn't come back.
Well, yeah, but also this relationship that she has with Visser 3.
She's
where
just
she's
sneaky and does whatever she can to get ahead.
Trolls him all the time.
So I recall... No, I don't think you should mention this because you tend to forget what was in the past and the future, but...
yeah.
The Council of 13 has been mentioned, I think, once before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the leaders of Yurks who choose the Vissers, I guess.
Was it the Yurk and Jake's head that mentioned it, or was it Visser?
I think it was Visser 1 and 3 mentioned... Wait, did I say
Was it mentioned when they went down into Chapman's basement as ants?
Oh, maybe it was.
I don't know if they brought up the Council of 13 or if Axe was just talking about how there's 48 Visters or whatever.
I just remember I just recall the name Council of 13, and apparently they have torture chambers, so they don't seem very nice.
I'm just going to come back, since we're on this chapter, this is the chapter where Cassie's spying on Chapman, and he's talking with a controller who's with the police and a controller who's with the press. I just want to say, this chapter was great. This was a great, Cassie finds out about, the Yurk's whole deal because Chapman is talking to the police and to the press and talking about how they're going to cover it up and all the stuff that's going on. That's a great way to reveal all this, and it's way better than just having Visser 3 just explain to Axe what's going on in the previous chapter. And so that's why I read that previous chapter with Axe and Visser 3 just explaining everything, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I read this chapter, wait, did they just explain all the stuff we already read, but way better? I'd much rather have this stuff being revealed to me instead of just being bored by it when it's actually written in a much better way.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
kind of disappointed because Visser 3 was set up to be a better and more competent villain, but then he just does something that's very cliche and villainy.
I mean, he did that in the first book when he was about to eat Elfangor, and he was like, I'm gonna eat you, and this is my evil plan! What
was his plan in that book?
He just screamed, I'm gonna eat you to everyone around, and then...
That's not something that could have really gone wrong in the next 5 seconds, though. What did he do?
All the homeless people there were gonna...
All he did was eat alcohol.
Alright, listen, at least he wasn't... He's He only explained. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember very well, but I'm pretty sure he only explained his plan for like a minute, and then he ate him.
Yeah.
He didn't like. I'm going to explain my plan to you, and I'm going to put you in this box and turn my head away from you. And then when I turn my head around and you're not there, we're going to open up the cage.
You didn't want it open.
I know, but still.
I like Bishop 3 as a stupid cliche sci-fi villain.
Why? They're everywhere.
I don't see
What
any.
is wrong with you? What is with your opinions?
You think it's
I think
fun.
Visit because Visit
just a
1
silly
is more
villain.
powerful than him. I think it's cool that there's like a more evil villain.
That's like everything has like that's called the bigger bad, and every show has that.
And I like it.
Yeah, it's like that guy who sells crap to King Dedede.
You guys think you're
Why does
cool
he
just
even
because you look
exist?
at what's that website?
TV tropes.
And you see when something's bad, you're like, oh, if that's in it, that means it's bad.
No.
It can still be
Tropes
enjoyable.
are not bad.
Tropes
if you
are
had read
tools.
TV tropes, you would have known that.
No, I'm saying that you
ridiculous.
see some tropes and like, oh, that trope is not. I'm not saying all tropes are bad, but I don't know. You guys mentioned TV tropes.
I like the brick joke trope. It's fun.
I think it's funny.
One of my notes just says Tobias and Axe both have fleas, and then a Saturn Motortron.
It's what?
Tobias and Axe both have fleas,
That's not
and
a
then I
haiku.
wrote a Saturn Motortron.
Aw.
You guys noticed that on
They
haikus.
said emoticon.
No, that's not what. No, that's separate from my haiku.
Okay.
I want. There was a scene where Morpho had to like steal a truck so they could get somewhere in time.
So there's no one else care about the
and
fact that
it's
they
a
have
great
fleas?
callback.
And I was like, why they have Morpho drive? That's like dumb. But then I was like, I want Morpho to drive every single vehicle in this whole series because it's really funny whenever he drives.
It is so
It
great.
is so
Because
good.
my favorite part of the first book was when Morpho was driving the golf cart. I was like, this is great. This is a good book. That's like when I realized I like Andalite.
What's the sound that it makes when he hits a garbage can? It's the same every time.
Yeah, Morpho hits like 80 garbage cans. It's like, why are there so many garbage cans in a line?
It's
on the
garbage
sidewalk?
day.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like park garbage cans. Okay, that makes sense now. Okay.
Just happen to drive through a garbage day.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about that. My next note is about like
Oh
when
no,
skydiving. so-
I want to talk a lot more about Marco driving.
Can we like read a couple of passages?
Well,
about
in the
Marco
first book,
driving?
he didn't seem this bad at driving.
Well, he's driving a golf cart, not a car. Golf carts, like, children can drive them. Trucks are, like, difficult to drive.
So now Marco's driving Cassie's dad's truck. So like, and they go into town, and then so somebody yells and then Marco says, "Oh, it's just a trash can. Chill out." Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so it's 4 trash cans. I said, "Get off the sidewalk, you lunatic." Jake said. I yanked the wheel to the right. We bumped off the sidewalk, sort of grazed a parked car, and bam, bam, bam. Do you hate trash cans? Jake asked. Is that your problem? Do you just hate trash cans? I can't drive with you screaming in my ear, I said. You can't drive at all, Jake said.
Yeah.
And then he goes, wham! And Marco groans and he says, someone had parked a car right where I needed to go.
And then some people, like, shout at him as he's driving by.
Someone says, "What, do you learn to drive in Jersey? Stupid."
I love it. this was my favorite scene.
Yeah, it was great. I want every book to have a scene where Marco is bad at driving.
And they just Marco somehow convinces them to let him drive.
I like to think that the other Animorphs are just somehow even worse. Marco's just the best they got.
Do you think Marco's the oldest?
I don't know, they're all 13, I
What?
think.
I have no idea how old these kids
Hey,
are.
I mean, the young enough
doesn't
with
Jake
driving
say,
is
like-
impossible.
Doesn't Jake say like, "Oh, Marco, I thought you said you knew how to drive."
And then he says, I played Wipeout on Sega or something.
I don't know.
Sega was mentioned in this book again.
I don't know what Wipeout is, but
It's just a race. I looked it
forgot
up.
where-
I didn't know either. It's a
from
racing
like name,
game.
I guess that
It's
it
a racing game
involves
from the. It's in
crash.
the
Guys,
90s.
it's cool. I played Mario Kart, the first one. Okay,
Yeah.
I know exactly how to drive.
You gotta do bounces and then
Watch out for the bananas.
I like the passage where Marco says, "I had a tiger in the back of a pickup truck I could barely drive, and I was being chased by the most powerful monster I had ever seen. Later, I would be terrified, but right then, at that moment, I was just thinking, this is so cool."
It was so cool.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
tends to be what I do.
liked that because I was reading this and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I loved this. I love this last part. Like, if this last part was just the book, I would have given it a thumbs
Is that
up.
the last part?
No. I mean, okay, maybe I guess the second half. The second half where
It's more than half. It's like the second quarter. It's like the last quarter is where it gets interesting.
I like the part where Marco is talking to Axe at the beginning about the party, and then he like convinces Axe to go with him to the party to spy on these girls.
Well, he
mice.
blackmails Axe by withholding flea powder from him.
I like how Axe acts like Marco has like he just acts like
He gives Marco like this
I actually
crazy
have-
head
he says
breakdown.
this is a-
Tobias, I am suffering. I have small itching bumps on parts of my body. Marco has agreed to help me. If I will help him, he has a rare medicine that will help. I just like how he talks like it's like some old like fantasy video game where it's like, oh, if you help me on my quest, I will give you what you need.
I thought the funniest part of this whole book was when Visser 3 is wrapped up in his own dust monster, and then he shouts water to his people, and Marco says he was thirsty at a time like this. Why was he thirsty?
That's funny.
It's very funny.
I don't remember that. It's a good line.
Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, it's funny.
Why was he thirsty?
I'm just imagining
Marco just assumes that he says water, that means he's thirsty.
That's what I
He's just
assumed
asking
too.
for water.
No, he wants water to splash on him to get rid of the...
No, I didn't know that when I first read the line. I was with Marco. I was like, why is he thirsty?
Oh.
Of course, it made sense later, but not then.
Because he's just cuddling with his pet.
I thought there would be a cooler explanation, like, oh, the dust monster dehydrates you, and then Visser 3's dried up corpse would fall to the ground,
That would be the end
and
of
it would
Visser
be all
3.
Axe, and then Axe would get his revenge.
I like how this book, like, brought up questions people have about morphing, like, when reading the series for the first time, in how Rachel was like, unsure about how morphing worked.
Exactly, that's why it would have worked great as a first book.
I don't think I would have liked it.
I would like it more than that.
I can't explain why. No, but I don't know. But like Rachel like got her arms cut off, and then like later she was as a bear. She got her arms cut off. She morphed back into a human. She had hands again, and she was like, "Well, I don't know if I morph into a bear. Am I gonna have my arms cut off again? I better not
but
risk
we
it."
know that. All it does is drag out stuff and repeat stuff we already know way too many times.
Okay, in this book, that works as a plot device so that Capelgate can make Rachel turn into an elephant. That's all that does.
I just thought it was
I'm
cool
sorry.
that like Capelgate was like, yeah.
Capelgate just loves Elephant Rachel for some reason.
I just thought it was cool
How can
that
I turn
she-
Rachel into an elephant? Oh, I know, because Rachel doesn't know if she can turn back into a bear.
No, I just thought it was cool that she acknowledged that, like, yeah, the people.
How
the
could
people
I
in the book
turn
wouldn't
Rachel
know
into an
this.
elephant in this book? Oh, so there's this bird that Tobias wants to set free.
I
Literally.
imagine, I just imagine it'd be easy for her to not realize that. Oh yeah, Rachel wouldn't know this, like, because it's not
Yeah,
really
see,
explained.
it would have been better if
This isn't
the
stuff-
reason
First
why
book.
they-
I don't
Yeah.
recall the Animorphs like being unsure about the stuff in the earlier books. Like this is the
Well,
first
they
time it
didn't
was
get
actually
they
brought
didn't
up.
get hurt. They didn't get badly damaged.
Except
No,
the
there was
got
that
cut in
time when
half.
Marco's tail got bit off.
Well, yeah, and see, then he morphed back to human, and because they were like, "Oh my god, Marco's probably gonna die. Well, try morphing back to human and see." And then it worked. And then they were like, "Oh, cool." And then they were like, "Try morphing back to dolphin, maybe." And then I think Cassie was like, "Oh, you shouldn't still have the injury because of the DNA and all." And then they were like, "All right, yeah."
If Rachel had put an ounce of thought into this, she would have come to this.
Well, I don't know. I feel
Wait,
like
how?
I feel like it's reasonable that a 13-year-old might not know how DNA
She doesn't
works.
even know that it's
hold
like
on.
DNA
It's true
based.
that
She just knows
she
that she
doesn't-
morphs.
Yeah, she doesn't know that it's DNA based.
That's true.
I feel like and Marco, like, they didn't know for sure that Marco, like, she didn't want to like morph a dying bear out in the middle of the woods with no one there. Like, if Morpho had started to morph into a dolphin and had been bleeding, the other dolphins would have been right there to like hold him up while he morphs back. Whereas, like, it makes sense for Rachel not to want to morph a bleeding bear out in the middle of the woods all by herself.
In the house.
Was she in a house?
She was in the house and the police were knocking on the door.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
like, come
yeah,
out,
yeah.
Rachel. And she's
She's
like, nope, I can't come out as a human.
She's got
Humans are normal here. I gotta be an elephant. Bust my
She's
way
got
out.
limited time.
I didn't like how she spent so much time like, oh, I don't know if I can trust these people. I mean, they're telling me I have a name. They're saying they're my friends. And they're not a big dust monster trying to kill me, but I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't trust them.
Yeah, that
Maybe
never-
they're not really my friends.
that didn't go
they
anywhere.
say they're my friends, huh?
That didn't go
It
anywhere.
would have been cool if there was an Aesop about like how like, oh, you shouldn't just trust random people who pretend to know you. That seems like it could have become an actual problem.
No,
How
but it's
could-
just a big
but
waste
it
of time.
didn't.
instead.
It was just a big waste.
Wait,
of
how
time.
could they have taught that?
Rachel
They could have
goes up to
visibly
a random
take her.
person and is like, hey, do you know who I am? And the guy is like, yeah, I do. You're my daughter. Come to my
Oh
house.
no, what? And this person's book is Rachel being trafficked?
And then she turns into
Yeah.
an elephant again.
I don't
Stops
think
it.
I want
And she could
that.
turn into an elephant. She could have turned into an elephant and gotten out of there.
Wow, okay.
Cavalcade would have loved that.
That's true. That You're right. You
I
are
want to
right.
bring up a moment that I really liked when Axe and Marco escape from Visor 3's ship. Axe is a gorilla, Marco is a gorilla morphed, and Axe is whatever. I think he's just an Andalite. And they jump out of the ship and they're just falling from the sky like thousands of feet up.
I'm pretty sure X is still a flea at that point.
Yeah, he was.
And then Marco is just like screaming and morph, ah! And then Axe is just like, Marco, why are you screaming? It hurts my head. As they're like falling to their death.
Well, he doesn't sense as they're falling. He's a flea. When he unmorphs, he screams.
Yeah, and then he's like, Marco, why don't you just unmorph, you dummy?
Like, oh,
and then
yeah, that's right.
I wrote down for that chapter, Marco and Axe have great chemistry.
Yeah, they do. This whole book.
Everyone has great chemistry.
We need more Marco and Axe.
We need more acts, period.
With Marco.
Well, the next book is written by Axe.
Yay.
What?
We're skipping Tobias this time.
Yep, yeah.
Oh.
Tobias only has half as many books as everybody else.
And
So
Axe has
wait, does
many?
Axe have more than Tobias?
No.
So
Axe has Axe and Tobias together.
That we have.
Axe and they count Axe and Tobias as like one person in the
Okay,
rotations.
that makes sense,
They
I
alternate
guess.
between Axe and Tobias.
Near the very end of the book, Cassie's like, hey, Cassie, hey, Tobias, I'm afraid. How do you stop being afraid? And Tobias is like, who says I handle it? There's only one way to deal with fear, be afraid. And then go ahead and do what you have to do anyway. I like that.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I
too.
think that's good advice for people. It's like, people who are brave don't stop being afraid. They just are afraid but do stuff anyway. That's a good lesson.
Yeah, I do like that.
So everyone's
I
afraid.
like that conversation they had. Okay, actually, what did you guys think of that scene at the end?
What scene?
The
scene
plan
where
they
they
have?
destroy the bleak. Yeah.
Wait, I have an idea. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I have. I feel like I had something I want.
I have like no
Never mind.
notes after. I have like no notes after. Like,
I liked it. I thought that was a good plan, and it was kind of like tense to see. Okay, I thought Cassie's Cassie's inner conflict about feeling bad about not saving Marco that one time was such bullshit. I mean, like, okay,
You said Morpho again.
We should just call him
Morpho.
Sounds so much like Mofo.
So Morphie feels
I
bad
didn't-
because Morpho got
Wait, who's Morphie?
Morphie's the mystical one.
Okay, top 5 characters.
Morphie is the
Morphie,
son of
Marco, Morphie,
Morphie,
Meepy.
Morpho, Morphel,
Sidey.
Morphus, and Sidey.
Sidey, Jack, Jackson, Bartholomew, and Jill.
Morphimili.
Are we gonna talk about those 5 again?
No.
No.
They come in
We'll
later.
talk about it when they come up.
They'll come in
Talk
later.
about it when we get to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I miss them.
So,
Jack, Jackson, Sidey, Bartholomew, Jill. Okay, go on.
I liked this plot. I mean, okay, well, I was saying something about, like, Cassie's inner conflict. I mean, I guess, okay, this is the kind of thing where it's like, as a writer, speaking as a professional writer here, who's written many a successful book series for young adults, this is the part where, as a writer, you might be like, okay, sure, yeah, Cassie's gonna feel bad about that, but you don't need to don't include it in the book if it doesn't go anywhere. It was just a waste of time. Cassie fills up paragraphs
because it motivates Cassie's hero complex, where she's like, "No, I gotta save everybody because I didn't save Marco when I had the chance."
That's true.
Yeah, it gives you adrenaline
That's
to
true.
morph 6
But
times
I don't
in a
need a
row.
reason for that because Cassie's already the best at morphing, and so Cassie's like, that already makes sense that Cassie would do that.
Do you think that's like kind of a contrast to like Cassie's like, oh, I feel bad for not saving this person, and the Axe is like, oh, I feel bad for not killing this person when I had a chance.
I didn't think about that.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like humans and Andalites.
So Cassie. All right. Well, I
I feel like there are a lot of human cultures that were very similar to Andalite.
So,
Like in the ancient Greeks would definitely have understood Axes.
Yeah, the ancient Greeks were naked a lot, and Axe doesn't understand clothing, so yeah, I get that.
Well, Andalites have a lot of gay sex, and the ancient Greeks had a lot of gay sex.
Yeah.
yeah.
Being natural, is this true?
So Cassie is like feeling bad about not saving Marco, and like, okay, I get what you're saying. It's like it's supposed to prod Cassie into her hero moment. I don't know. I just feel like the way it was written, it just made me think that
that's what criticism I have is because Cassie's like using that to have a hero moment, which she's just probably trying to be a hero when that shouldn't be her motivation.
That's
motivation
true.
should just be to help.
You're right. Wow. I didn't think about
She
that.
did help, though.
Well, she did, but that's not. It wasn't her motivation. Was like, I'm just gonna make up. I want to make up for not.
I wasn't enough of a person in the rest of the books, and I have to be the hero.
The fact that Cassie's inner conflict is that she feels bad about not saving Marco, when this is not like she couldn't have reasonably been expected. Like the reader knows that she couldn't have reasonably been expected to save Marco in that instance, and also the other Animorphs are like, yeah, Cassie, that's fine. So the fact that she's having a whole inner conflict about this just makes her seem like a stupid person.
Yeah, her
That's
inner
what I had to
conflict is
say.
not substantiated by anything the other Animorphs say.
It's
They're
just
all
like-
like, Cassie, don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
it's just like
she's like, no, I have to worry about it.
it would have been interesting if one of the Animorphs, like maybe not Marco, but maybe somebody was like, Cassie, you should have saved him, or maybe just suggests it and then that gets to her head. But no, she just decides that she should have saved him.
Oh, that's what happens. That's realistic.
It is, but it doesn't. Then it isn't. It's not a detail that the author should have included because of how it kind of weakens her motivations, as we already discussed, and also how it just makes her character seem stupid and not likable.
I think she's smart and likable.
You only think that because all of the narrators just say, Cassie is smart and likable.
No, I read Cassie's chapters and I'm like, these are fine. They're kind of the same as the rest of them in this book.
They're the same as the rest of them.
Cassie's book was
the
my
message
favorite.
was...
Wait, was it?
What?
No, Cassie's book was the message with the dolphins.
Oh, yeah, I like Cassie's book. Cassie's book was fine. Rachel's book was my favorite, the first one. Second
Yeah.
one was...
Cassie's book was my least favorite, I think.
So the author is trying to say that Cassie and Rachel are kind of similar in that they're both like smart and competent or whatever, but then
Yeah, all of
Rachel
them
is
are.
believable, but Cassie never does anything to make
Cassie's
that
just
believable.
obsessed with whales and elephants.
She's not obsessed with elephants.
Oh, and in this book they
Oh,
bring
that's
back the
Rachel,
thing where
okay.
Cassie's like, oh, I don't know if I should be acquiring this whale
and she
because
just does
it's
it.
smart, and then that does not come from it. That nothing happens.
In the
with
last
that.
book, she decided. She even came to the conclusion about that. In the last book, she narrated in the message. She was like, "Well, it's okay to morph dolphins because I'm saving the dolphins because the Yeerks are really, really bad." But then she just forgot, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't morph whales."
Well, I didn't see that as a conflict. I saw that as like she's doing it. It's like, man, this feels weird, and then it's over. I didn't see that as this big conflict. It was just like this kind of. It didn't feel right, and then she was like, "Well, I have to do it anyway, whatever."
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
Okay.
I did like the plan though. Like I like how Cassie narrates jumping off of Tobias toward the Valik, and how she has to turn from a cockroach because Tobias carries her as high as he can carry her, and then she has to jump off him. Then she has to turn from a cockroach into a human, and then she has to turn into a whale, and and she has to hit the Valik, and she has to be big enough so the Valik can't just shred her up immediately, and also big enough so that she'll weigh the Valik down and kill it. So it's like I like how this chapter was written. Like I like how she's just falling and she's talking about like how stuff is going on. But there is a part of this chapter where Cassie says something like, I think she's like says to Tobias or somebody like, Tobias, if there's some way you could let my parents know of how I died, that would be good. And I just really love the image of like the Animorphs somehow telling Cassie's parents like, your daughter died, like after so many years of them fighting the Yeerks and having to keep it a secret that Cassie's dead because of like that the Cassie's just gone missing in their eyes because they can't really reveal how she died and nobody ever found the body. And then the Animorphs is like, oh yeah, she died as a cockroach whale trying to body slam a space blob from Saturn.
Yeah, I really like the scene where Tobias is talking to Cassie. I think they had some good chemistry. I think Tobias said a lot of great things.
Except, okay, I hate to ruin this whole Tobias. I hate to ruin your guys' I hate to ruin Tobias love here. But
Is this based off future events or things that happened in this book?
things happen in this book. There's
What
like
happened
logic.
in this book?
Tobias. No. I wasn't gonna spoil anything. I was just saying something about this chapter. It was they just had Tobias as the one to fly Cassie up because they needed to give him something to do because they kept.
No, I see that and I raise you. Tobias can't morph, so therefore he won't be distracting the Blake.
Also, Tobias can fly for
Wait,
more than
what?
2 hours. No one else can.
Oh, you're right. He won't be distracting
And
them.
he's like the best at flying.
Ooh, you're right. Let me think about that. No, he's not. He's not. If one of them morphed an osprey, they'd be able to fly higher. Like they specifically mentioned how Tobias can't fly over the water that
Fine,
well.
Tobias has pity.
So,
Okay,
but you're right about the morphing thing. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. I mean, I suppose they could have done a whole shebang shabaroo about luring it this here and there. But you're right.
I like that but they're using Tobias' special talent of being a hawk forever as they're using it.
No, okay, listen. They morphed dolphins, and that was attracting the Valik. So they could have had the person morph from Osprey. As soon as the Osprey person's flying, then everybody else starts morphing a dolphin to draw the Valik away. Although that is risky, so you're right about that. And I guess Tobias wasn't worried about dying. He was just worried about being tired.
Tobias did Tobias did feel really bad because he was sleeping the whole time. The rest of
that was so funny
in this book.
It was
guys, why didn't you invite me?
I thought that was so funny because I didn't notice that he wasn't in that scene. This scene was very intense where they're morphing and the Valik is chasing them around and it's very cool. I didn't notice Tobias was absent the whole time until the next chapter when Tobias is like, oh wait, I was asleep this whole time. What happened?
I thought, man, where's Tobias? I want to see Tobias.
Yeah, I didn't notice he was gone.
What? Okay.
Well, I remember in the Morpho book when they were in Visit 1's or Visit 3's ship or whatever, I assumed Tobias wasn't there until it said he was there. I was like, oh.
Man, you guys are just not Tobias aware.
Sorry. It was very exciting.
I'd like to point out this part. So there's this particularly epic part where Marco drives Tiger Jake to the woods and drops him off for the Valik to chase him around while he drives off somewhere else to lure the Valik again. So Jake says, I fired myself up a tree, claws bit deep into the bark, tired muscles propelled me up and up through the branches. Brack! The Valik chewed through the tree and I was on. Oh, the Valik chewed through the tree that I was on. I looked down and saw it right below me. The tree was still standing, but the Valik had shredded the base, and it was chewing its way straight up the tree. I leapt into darkness. I fell, claws outstretched through the night air. And I was like, I want a poster of that. That sounds awesome. That just is metal. What a cool
tree
image.
and the Valik at the bottom, and then just a tiger jumping out with...
Yeah, I want that. I was like, man, this is pretty epic.
Okay, so that did make me wonder, how big is the Valik that it's not, at the top of the tree?
I pictured it as the size of a house, but
they were very tall trees.
Yeah, he was at a tall tree. Also, I picture the Valik as changing shape depending on when it manifests. Once it gets because it's made of bugs, right? So it could stretch out and become flatter once it's on the floor, once it's on the ground of the forest, as opposed to it could even wrap around. You could do really cool things with this creature. You could even be wrapping its body around trees and
So what exactly does it look like?
Well, why doesn't it do that then?
It looks like 20 Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, why does it just crush through the trees when it could just turn into a snake-like thing and go in between them?
Because that's not as fast.
It looks like sand with razor blades in it or something.
It looks like 20 Hork-Bajir glued together and given dragon wings.
That's not what? No.
That's
literally the description.
What? I thought it was
when?
The first time they see it.
I thought it looked like a big sandstorm.
Chapter 5.
I thought it was a big sandstorm.
That's when it's breaking up and going to...
But then for some reason it also has razor blades in it or something, and spinning saws and stuff. I don't kind of remember. It was weird. I imagine just a big spinning tornado with sand in it, and there's like saw blades.
I imagine I'd like to draw it sometime. I imagine a very when I first read this book, I just could not picture it at all. It was just a black box in my head. But now I picture it as a very, very alien thing and it can be constantly changing shape.
It's like an eldritch terror.
Yes.
I can draw it, I don't think.
I would like to try.
You probably could.
Okay.
You're good at drawing stuff that I have a hard time imagining.
Does it not have buzz saws spinning around it?
It does. That's part of it, though.
It's really weird for a natural creature.
So it's just made up. So the bugs of it basically make up atoms to create metal.
You mean
not atoms,
cells?
but sort of, yeah.
Cells?
Yeah, sort
cells.
of.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
I have
or
a
not
question.
metal, but claws. Keratin.
Well, claws that are strong enough to rip through trees, yeah.
Really strong keratin. Really dense. Maybe they just pack themselves together.
Definitely.
They can pack themselves together really, really tight.
This was a cool idea.
My question was, at the end, how come none of the bugs were just well, everybody else is thinking, let's just yeet ourselves out of here.
Hive mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess when they go together, they just...
Well, they're really dedicated to get that well.
I get the idea this thing isn't really very smart.
It really wanted that well, so it just clung to it.
Yeah.
But it's smart enough to not want to go near the ocean.
Yeah, but it doesn't know when it's falling.
But it's
That's
not
the only reason why they could morph into dolphins and get out there.
Well, okay, when it approaches water, it's like, okay, I know not to do that. But when it's falling towards the water, it's like, oh, I'm just falling. I'll just latch onto this thing and hope that I don't land in water.
No, Vista 3 calls it a life form, which like...
Well, yeah,
sounds like a single mind to me.
Axe recognizes its life.
Yeah. It also says it's a real life form, which implies that there was more than one of these weird swarms.
Maybe Visitor 3, maybe this trip to Saturn is really hard.
Also, there's aliens on Saturn in this book.
Yep.
Canon.
That was pretty weird, but I was like, okay.
Why not?
I liked how, for the first time...
Hang on, it makes sense that like this would be the life on Saturn because... Like, it's something that
it's a gas planet.
Be able to see, and it's like a gas planet.
Yeah,
so, like,
I thought that was very cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it's like, it's life that, like, would definitely, like, no one could live, like, on the surface of Saturn unless there was, like, something like this.
Yeah.
Because it's just gas or whatever.
There is, I just wanted to point out this silly, so I'm just starting to point out silly quotes that I wrote down now. This is where Rachel is running across the street, and then the monster crashes into a truck full of ice cream, and then Rachel says, "The beast shredded the trailer. Shredded it! Pints of ice cream exploded around, like hand grenades. In the middle of terror, I was pelted by pints of Cherry Garcia and wavy gravy ice cream." And I was kind of confused by the tone of this. I was like, is this supposed to make the chase feel lighthearted and fun?
She's just very familiar with Ben
Is
and
Rachel
Jerry's
taking
flavors.
the time to recognize which flavors of ice cream are flying through the air? She's like...
I'm just guessing.
I've never heard of it, and it sounds kind of gross.
I'm looking up wavy gravy.
It does sound gross.
I like how, I think for the first time in the series, they make a plan. They say, I have a plan, and then they do the plan. They don't spend a whole chapter saying, okay, here's the meeting, here's them talking about the plan, here's them arguing about the plan, here's them deciding who should... They just say plan, and then they do it.
Well, I got the feeling that Applegate was really running out of pages at the end.
Yes.
She didn't even do an after plan scene.
Yes.
She was just
I like
over.
that. They're not wasting 2 chapters on meetings for once.
Well, yeah, but
there's no thing that happens after.
Cassie had this idea, and she's like, "Oh, what if it doesn't work, guys?" And I was like, "There's 10 pages left in this book. This plan's gonna work."
Yeah.
So I could just tell by the length of the page.
It's nice that one of their plans worked without a hitch. What are you guys reading?
Wavy gravy.
Wavy Gravy started in 1993.
There's this guy whose name is Wavy Gravy, and I guess he was approached by Ben and Jerry. I've never heard.
How long does this ice cream flavor last?
It's from 1993 to 2001.
I just want to know what it tastes like.
Oh, it's caramel, cashew, Brazil nut, ice cream, chocolate hazelnut fudge swirl, and roasted almonds.
Well, that sounds good.
Butternut sounds good.
That sounds good, but that's a terrible name. Okay, I just loved the part where all the other Animorphs think that Marco's dead because the last they heard of him, he was in Visitor 3's ship, which exploded or something.
It actually really it didn't explode. That actually really confused me because I'm like, wait, didn't Marco and Axe just go to where Jake, Cassie, and Rachel were?
It was in the middle of the night, I think, or something.
I guess they didn't.
It was in the middle of the night or something. The last they heard, Marco and Axe got captured. That's right. He didn't know if Marco was dead. But he thinks Marco is either dead or captured because the last they heard, Marco was taken by the Valik, and they haven't heard from him since. So then Jake goes to bed all sad. But then the way Marco reveals to him that he's alive is he sneaks into his room and screams, "Booga, booga, booga, booga!" while Jake is sleeping.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, I love Marco.
Didn't he call himself the ghost of something?
Yeah, he says, Marco, I thought you died. He says, this is Marco's ghost, fear me. And then he says, what time is it? And Marco says, it's 10 a.m.
I thought it was 3 a.m. at first.
Oh, was it?
I just... No, but I assumed...
It's 10 a.m.
It was 10 a.m., but I assumed it was 3 a.m.
Yeah, it seemed like a 3 a.m. moment, but I guess Jake was just sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't write that down for some reason. I love that part. I don't think I did either.
All right.
Oh.
Chapter 20.
Yeah, I love that part too.
Chapter 38, page 1.
Chapter 38?
That's when Marco
Booga,
was...
booga, booga, booga.
Yeah.
Wow! I sat up, spun around.
Jake did a little ballerina twirl.
Marco laughed so hard he started crying. I thought that was a cute moment because I was like, is he just crying because he's laughing so hard, or is he crying because he's seeing his friend again?
He's crying because he's sad that he scared Jake too much. And then after 2 minutes of talking to him, he just smiles. I'm glad you're not dead, Marco. Me too.
Aww. Man, they have pretty good... These characters are... I love these characters, except Cassie.
I recoiled from the bright sunlight. Cassie said the Vliet carried you away. Yes, it did, and now we're going steady.
Wait, what does that mean?
It means he's dating the Vliet.
I didn't notice that.
Oh my god, I didn't notice
You
that.
guys didn't get that joke?
I didn't know, I did not.
I think I only know it because I used to read joke books from the 60s. And that's like really old slang for like seriously dating.
Man, I bet Marco read joke books from the 60s.
Yeah.
I thought that going steady referred to like, oh look, I'm alive. We're going steady with me being alive. That's a great joke, actually.
Yeah.
the Vliet carried me away
and brought me to the altar.
Oh man.
Okay, I have nothing else to say on
This book is a meh, but it has good things in it.
Yeah.
Mostly Marco
We
things.
spent like the first half of this podcast complaining about it, and the rest just talking about stuff we liked, I think.
The second half of
That's
this
how the
book
book is.
was
That's how
great.
the book actually is when you read
The
it.
second half of this book was great, and the first half of the books and also like some unnecessary chapters into the second half are bad.
So basically, if Capelgate just made this into a normal length book,
Yes.
it would have been good.
It would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm liking Axe the more I see him.
I feel like Capelgate basically like came up with this plot as like, oh, what plot should I write where I have to use all of them as narrators, except I don't even have to use all of them as narrators, but I'm going to anyway. Oh, I know, there's this thing that like runs between them.
I wonder
There we
if
go.
Scholastic like requested like, hey, write along the book, give us some more money, and she was like, I can't write like a 100-page book. I have to like have some filler chapters in between there.
Yeah.
I have to rewind time a bunch in order to get those 99 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, those
that's
parts were
rough.
painful. But
I guess we'll see if the future.
I think
Megamorphs
I
books
enjoyed
is,
this book overall because of the booga booga booga, but like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't read it again.
I like this book.
Yeah, when I was doing the summer, I was like, wait, maybe this book isn't as good as I thought it was when I finished it. But then, like, yeah, it just left me with a good feeling at the end, and that's why I liked it.
I mean, talking about all this stuff has almost made me want to like give it a thumbs up, but then I remembered the first part. And I'm
Talking about it made me be like, oh, should I switch it?
Can we explain the thumbs up thing? 'Cause I feel like we.
Oh yeah, okay.
explain what
So
that is.
whenever we're done reading a book, like we always want to give our initial impressions in our Discord server, and we try and do this like right after each of us finishes the book, so we don't before we talk about it. So I gave it so for this book, I gave it a neutral face, and so did Stir, I think,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Batter,
you did too.
and Batter and Mustard gave it a thumbs up.
And you can join our Discord server.
Yes, you can.
How?
I don't know.
There's a link in
Link
the
in the
description
description.
of this episode and all episodes. No one has joined it yet.
Well, we have some.
We have
Yeah,
had two
some
people
fellows.
have
who
joined.
Oh yeah, we probably have
never,
more than
who
that
never
too, because this episode's
contributed
not
at
coming
all.
out for like 2 months.
Or everybody could have left by then.
Yeah, we have no members. Everyone left. Please come join our Discord server.
Yeah.
Even we left because we're so bored.
I have nothing else to say about the book itself. I don't think
I'm
anyone
going to
does.
say something about the podcast. I thought it was though.
Hey,
Maybe back
does
my
anybody
day.
know like why Rachel actually lied about going to gymnastics camp?
No.
Wait, what? Oh, what do you mean? Oh, it was just a misunderstanding type thing. Like, I think she'd already called the camp and told them that she wasn't coming, and because of Animorph stuff. But then, like, the weekend was coming up, and she was like, you know what? I could use some de-stressor. I could go to I should go to gymnastics camp. So she didn't lie. She said to her parents, I'm going to go to gymnastics camp. And they were like, okay. And then she showed up to go to gymnastics camp. And she's like, I'm going to go flying first. And then I'm going to come back and go to gymnastics camp. And this book won't happen. And the reason that
No
like,
wonder
her parents...
that's never explained.
And the reason that nobody immediately started looking for her once she was missing is because the gymnastics camp wasn't expecting her because she previously told them that she wasn't coming. And also her parents weren't expecting her because they thought she was at gymnastics camp.
So kind of like how they just say that Tobias is with the other aunt to both the aunt and the uncle.
Yeah.
They just say, yeah, he's over there.
Except Rachel's parents actually love her.
Ooh.
On that note,
The cover.
oh, the cover.
Oh, the cover.
I gotta look at your cover now.
I love how there's like pictures of everyone's face,
That's
but then
not the cover,
Tobias
okay.
is just like there.
He's just hanging out.
He's just like there.
He's just chilling with the author.
Wait, explain what the cover looks like.
It has the four kids, and they're all like left half they're right. My left half of their face is human, and the right half of the face is an animal.
They're in 4 squares.
Yeah, 4 squares, like let it be.
The cloud background.
yeah, like let it be.
And Tobias is just chilling on the logo.
And it's his full body, and he's perched on the little line that underlines K.A. Applegate's name.
Yeah.
So we have Jake, who's half-faced human, half-faced animal. We have Jake as a tiger, Cassie as a fly, Marco as a wolf, and Rachel as a bear.
You know, I was always wondering, like, why is Cassie a fly? But then I realized that these are all animals that they turn into in this book. So
okay.
I didn't. Yeah. I was always like, why did they have Cassie be a fly? They should have made her like a horse or something. But no, she's.
Now that fly looks pretty scary, and I imagine that's like kind of what it looks like halfway through morphing.
No, one half of her body changes
I mean,
first.
no. I mean, just like the size of the fly's head. Like imagining that, like. Not half and half like that, but just imagining seeing the giant fly eye, like where her eyes would be.
Yeah, I think that looks really cool, actually. I think Cassie's picture is my favorite out of this.
It's terrifying.
It's scary.
God, I just love how, moving to Marco, I just love how his wolf eye is like pointing up, but his human eye is pointing forward.
I like Marco's human face in this. He looks really smug.
He looks very smug. I like his eyebrow.
Does he have a mullet?
His hair. He has this hair that.
I think he does have a mullet. Actually, it's hard to tell in this picture.
I don't like the way Jake looks in this cover. I just don't trust him based on his looks.
Jake looks really young, I think.
He looks like Freddie Benson from iCarly.
Yeah, he does.
Not really.
I haven't seen iCarly in a while.
I haven't either, but I don't think he looks like Freddie Benson. And we're all just staring at you.
Yeah, anyway, all of their eyes are, like, uneven, and I just think that's hilarious.
It bothers me.
I love the way it looks.
Now, when I read the title, The Andalite's Gift, I assumed that this would be, like, some kind of epic retelling of the first book, where the Andalite gives them a gift, or something else happens.
Yeah, I thought there would be more to do with the beginning, and there would be more lore involved.
Well, that just teaches you
the hard... kind of like the least lore in it.
That's teaching you the hard lesson that
the lore of
the
Saturn.
titles do not matter.
I think so far my favorite books, it was 1 and 2, and I didn't care for 3 and 4 that much, and then 5 and 6 I loved, and I didn't care for 7 and 8 that much. So hopefully the next two.
You didn't read 8 yet. You mean Megamorphs? You didn't care for
7 and Megamorphs.
Okay.
Well, we have like 5 minutes of recording space left on this phone. So,
yeah, the tape is running out.
All right,
the tape. Oh, hi, I'm B Natural.
Wait, no, you're usually first. Wait, no, you're first. That's right.
Does it matter? I didn't even know there was an order.
We always went in the order of
the first thing I say in the pilot episode. I say hi, I'm Mushroom.
I know.
And then you're the one who shouts at me for doing it in the wrong order.
But that's because for that one episode we agreed to do it in order. I didn't know that order remained.
Hey, I'm better. I always come up with something clever to say, but I never write it down or remember it when it's time to record.
Will you write down like a joke for every episode?
No, I don't do that.
Oh.
I think of them occasionally, and I'm like, okay, I gotta remember that for the next episode, but then I always forget.
Oh, okay, I'll do a joke instead. Hi, I'm Mustard. Knock knock.
Who's there?
A stick. A stick.
A stick?
It's round and sticky.
Round and sticky who?
Wait, is this isn't from the joke book?
No, that's just my clever little sign out.
Okay.
Cameos every episode.
I'm Stir. That was a really funny joke. Thanks for telling it.
Speaking of funny jokes, I have this joke.
Speaking of funny jokes. We got it. I gotta get away.
Actually see the joke book.
See it. What did you do last time?
Okay, it was about fireflies.
Yeah.
You would not believe your.
Guess you pull out his joke key and open up his joke safe.
Yeah, I keep this book locked under the safe.
Okay, safe is unlocked.
Why did people dance to the vegetable band?
Because they had a great beat.
Ah.
It had a good beat.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think that's the fastest. I think that's a record for fastest.
I didn't think I could have gotten it.
I've been on top of these.
Yeah, you've been answering these really fast lately.
I think that was definitely a record. Maybe Discord latency has causes some of the slow responses. I don't know, but
I mean, I thought of the first 5 ones, and then after that I just stopped.
Wasn't that fast?
I hadn't thought of them. I've been beaten to it.
But you guys could have tried to go. You're like, yep, joke over. It could have been something other than a beat. It could be really celery.
Be natural. What do you think?
It could be so carrot.
About what?
Why do you think the vegetable bands had a good? Would people dance to it?
They had a really good rutabaga.
Okay, bye.